Hello and welcome to the weekly review of the markets for Trade Easy Way. My name is Mike Hamilton, and I'm just going to start with asking myself the question: what is the general health of the global markets? And then once I've got an angle on that, I will then start to apply that to the indices, the forex, and oil and gold. We'll also look, as usual, I normally look at least 2 or 3 UK and 2 or 3 US stocks at the end, so hang on to the end of the video if you're interested in stocks. And so this Nikkei, you can see we have had, excuse me one moment, just going to get my pen. So a lovely run up, a few little pullbacks, and then we finally had a really nice move up to 16,000. And from then on in, we set 15,000 was our main pivot level. We pulled back, we held up, and we started to crank ourselves underneath this key level here. But then we moved right into the trend line, and so far we've had a couple of days of selling. So 13,800, 13,500 is this key support level here, the base of the triangle. So if we come down here and just come around this area here and hold, then I would expect this to break up and bust through that resistance. So short term, first part of the week, I would expect that to pull back some. If we look at the weekly chart, I'm going to apply the same things to the Dow in a minute. So I was projecting, I've drawn this some weeks back. Once we put in this 15,000 high on the bounce, and I was suggesting we might come down here, we might really sell off and have a decent pullback, but at the moment this weekly chart is holding up. So the pullback in the weekly chart is 13,600. Now a couple of days of selling back in the last week, so yeah, 500 and 600 puts us on the baseline of that triangle. We now apply the same sort of analysis to the Dow. So the Dow is really stuck in a range. The range is 14,750 to 15,000. So it's quite a tight range. That to me is a hangman bar. It's a lower close. So what I would expect the hangman bar, I would expect a downdraft. And I would expect that downdraft to at least come and test 14,700. So a couple of points under here, a couple of 100 points under here, which will put us down here. These are weekly pivots based on last week's price action. So I need to see what this week's pivot is going to give us when the market opens. But that 14,700 will put us on a level with this price action down here. So I think this will open and get weaker. But if we could break through that level there, and we could really start to come tumbling. I mean, the main weekly and monthly support is a long way off. Let's pull the monthly up, because the setup here on the weekly chart is a cloud. We've had a nice run up here from autumn last year, lovely run into that resistance there, and this is a cloud because we had a bullish bar here, a really nice move up into that resistance, nice close up here, and the very next month in August we close below it. So at the moment we pull back to resistance area here. We break last month's low, and I would expect us, if we really get into a nasty run, I would expect us to come down possibly close to 14,000. So that's 900 points away from where we are now. If we get a little closer in time to these charts and look at the weekly, you can see we've just got a slightly higher close on that. It's a bit of a doji down there. So I would expect, at the very least, I would expect some weaker closes down here. Retest of these lows here before. Now we're either going to bounce or we're going to break. So what happens around here is going to be crucial. What I think is going to happen, I actually think, given what I've talked about on that daily, on the daily 200 is down here at just above 700. So I think that's going to be crucial. Come down, we get the downdraft and come down to 700 and we hold, then I think we'll get a lovely bounce. But yeah, so far on the weekly, since the early part of this year, we've had nice moves up and all the pullbacks have got bought. Okay, so yeah, bottoming tails down here, potential rounding. Yeah, if it's a higher low, we've got a higher high up here. But on this pullback here, we had a higher low. This area here wasn't. We didn't close anywhere down here. We did touch this, but then as soon as we touched it, we closed nicely. So if we get the same pattern here, maybe we won't even get much of a pullback. But time will tell. Okay, so I'm going to sit tight on Monday as usual, and I'm going to wait to see if we start closing below last week's open. So 14,850 area, I'm going to call my major sort of line. And if we start closing under there, then I will get bearish. Okay, so let's draw that on this chart, on the daily chart. So we've crashed into that resistance. A couple of lower closes on Friday. Non-farm payroll, US jobs was slightly weaker than expected. So I think at least we're going to retest this level here. However, if we retest that and hold, then I would expect that to bounce up. Okay, so weakness into Monday and see how we go. Sitting on my hands otherwise, as far as that's concerned. Let's now look at the pound US dollar, because the pound's had a pretty good few weeks. So the daily chart, we are slightly higher, but we have got a lot of resistance up here. And on the big picture, we have hit, so I have to pull this out. We've hit the high of that trend line. So I'm looking for this, 50% fibs, 15,600 to be a major support line. You know, this was resistance, we closed above, it's now support. All the time we hold 15,156. I'm bullish, and I'm looking to see if we can drift underneath this apex here, possibly even go lower, possibly even down to 1500. And then if we hold that, I would look for that to break up. And I would look for 160. Massive area of resistance up there at 160. Okay, but start breaking at lows, closing below this 50%, and I would look for that to drop. So again, sitting on my hands on Monday, waiting to get Monday out of the way, and then I'll make a decision, and I'll talk to you about that in the videos. Pound yen is a pretty similar story. Major resistance up here, a little bit of a reversal bar up there. But all the time we hold this 154, it was resistance. You know, we came off it here, came back to support, broke up through resistance. Now to support. We hold this, even if we dip lower, but I would love to see a hammer on this. If we get a hammer on this, I think it's good for skyrocket. But in the meantime, we're just going to let this drift on Monday and then see what we've got. Weekly is positive. It's a nice little run this week. Found a lot of positive data. You can see the weekly 15680 is a heck of a lot of resistance. Plenty of scope on the RSI for this to come up. It's closed at higher. Hammer like bar last week, so retest of 154 on the weekly chart will be a potentially good place to get in. That's just about 90 points, 90 plus points underneath. Okay. Euro. Now I went long this on the Thursday, so a little concerns we came out of Thursday because we weren't getting a pickup in this. I bought this weekly pivot at 13117, that exact number, and I took 12 points with the heat. It came down to 13105, and we closed some up about 60 odd points, 61 points. And so the trouble is this is a huge area. 132 on the euro US dollar is huge. All of these touches. This is a major pivot line. We've come down to this decent support and held. So this one, if we can come down to there and then bounce up, I'll be happy. Because I think, again, this is pretty much a nice box here. But if you once we broke up here, lovely big move up here, pull back, and then went for a run. So all we're doing down here is pulling back to this major support area. So this is quite a nice close on Friday. So if that does drift back and close above 132, I think the chances of getting back to 134 and possibly higher are good. If we look at the US dollar CAD, that is very weak, and the US dollar Swissy was weak on Friday as well. And that's a bit of a hangman as well. And I think we're coming up under the 50%, so that could start to drift right the way back down to 92.17. Alright, so I think the pound has held up really well. I think the euro has held decent support, and I think even the one trade you could take tomorrow is the euro at 131.40, 131.50. 131.40 would be a great price if you can get that. As your stop would only need to be under 131. And look at the continuous theme of the euro. This is a lovely hammer on the euro pound. Mega support. So that is huge. Absolutely huge. I'll expect that to go at least back to 86. The potential 170 points in that. The entry is, I would even just go 84.30 where we closed here, and your stop's got to be under 84. It's a really tiny stop, but it's normally a slow mover. I say normally, we have got some big bars here, so it's a hammer with RSI. We've got the low RSI setting there, but I think this is a good trade. Okay, and not looking for anything else. Aussie US. Spent some time looking at that last week, didn't we? I didn't manage to get in this. A bit frustrating, really, which happens in trading. Once we broke up here, we closed at resistance. The next day we broke up. So we had 3 nice days, pull back to the trend line, and now we're up to 91.84, where there is a lot of resistance. I would be a buyer of this at 90.50. That struggles there. The elections are out of the way. It's a positive result for one party. The question is the market going to like that? But I think this is potentially a nice double bottom. So it's a nice W pattern. Sorry, we've already had the double bottom miles away. So if we can just bend back and get sort of a cup and saucer pattern and then break that, I would definitely be a buyer of that level there. And let me just qualify what that level is. I would like to buy the Aussie US at 90.50, 90.70 area. And let's look at the FTSE. So flick back to the indices now. FTSE major resistance at 65.70. Bit of a hangman, so I would expect that. I'd expect to see some downdraft. But if we hold 64.50, I think we could attack those highs. Oil, humongous, hardly unexpected given the political situation we're in at the moment. So that was resistance. So it's a triangle breakout. Any pullback to, let me see what that is. Baseline of that 109. Any pullback to 109 is a buy, because I think we are potentially going to look at the weekly. Potentially going to 115. And gold. The weekly chart in gold. Sideways, trapped under a lot of resistance here. If you look to the left here, 1420 is a lot of resistance from here and here. So I would love that to come back and retest 1340. Because I think if we can do that, if we can come up here, pull back to support, I think we can get back up to possibly 1600. Let's look at one or two other forex pairs. Sorry, I'm jumping around a bit. Please excuse me. US dollar yen dropped very hard on the non-farm payroll results, but we are holding this area here. It's got limited scope, and the daily is closed below the 8, so I would just stay out of that one for now. Yeah, obviously the parity is tough. If we close above parity, we just need to buy a pullback. In the meantime, I think any retest of 98 is a buy. Alright. Nothing else to look at there. So, right, now we're going to look at a few stocks. Vodafone is sitting pretty. I would just stay in that if you're in that. Rolls-Royce has been doing well off of this major support. I would stick it with that. Premier Foods are long since gone. We need to try and find some more stocks like this. That's a nice. That's a buy at 128. We see 128 again. That is a buy. Domino Pizza, I'm already in. 605, 607. Major resistance up there at 616. Could pull back to 600. General. That had a great day. I tried to get a pullback on this and didn't get one. It just broke that Thursday's bar. I'm going to have to stay out of that for now. The risk reward ratio going out is not great. Barclays I like. Talked about that last week. Any pullback, any shocks in the system and pullback to 288 is a buy. US stocks, Spectra. Yeah, this one closed. 330 is the key. That closes above 330. We've got extreme RSI down here. I would buy that if it closes above 330. Potash, not doing great. Stay out of that. Looked at Lin the other day. Sideways, stay out of that. Goldman's. I expect to see a downdraft on that one. 153. So we come back to 151, 70. I'd look to buy that. Chesapeake. Sitting at the highs. Baidu. That's pretty high. Apple for close to 500. Again, might see if we see 466 again. I would be a buyer of that if that starts to climb down. All right, leave it there. Monday traders round table would be talking about monkeys. Now, why would I want to bother? Why would I introduce an animal to trading? And all will be revealed at Traders Round Table. So I do hope you enjoy what's left of the weekend and join me on Traders Conference Call for analysis of the week and an explanation about why monkeys are important in your trading.